The millionaire lived in a grand house that looked like it belonged in a magazine. It was huge, with tall windows that let in sunlight during the day and sparkling lights that shone at night. Everything in the house was perfect, from the polished floors to the expensive furniture. Every morning, the millionaire woke up early, dressed in expensive clothes, and left for work. He worked in a big office in the city, where decisions worth millions were made. He had no time to think about small things, and he never noticed the quiet moments around him. In the same house, there was a housekeeper who had worked there for many years. She was quiet and polite, moving through the rooms like a shadow. She cleaned, organized, and made sure everything was perfect, just like the millionaire liked it. But no one really noticed her. She never complained, never asked for recognition, and mostly stayed in the background. Even though she spent most of her time in the house, she was almost invisible to the people who lived and worked there. She had her own small world, quietly enjoying the rhythm of daily life. The housekeeper had always been talented, but life had forced her to leave her dreams behind. She loved music more than anything else. When she was younger, she had spent hours practicing the piano, learning songs that many people could only dream of playing. But life was not easy. Family responsibilities, financial struggles, and other challenges had taken her away from her dreams. The piano became a friend she could visit only when no one was watching, a quiet escape from the world that didn't see her. The millionaire was busy, always moving from one meeting to another, making important calls, and checking numbers on his computer. His life was full of deadlines, contracts, and plans that could change everything in an instant. The housekeeper rarely interacted with him. Sometimes she would pass him in the hall, and he would nod politely, but that was the extent of their interaction. He didn't know her story, and she didn't try to tell him. She worked quietly, keeping the house perfect, knowing that her talent and dreams were hers alone. One morning, the house was quiet. The millionaire had left early, and the housekeeper moved from room to room, dusting, cleaning, and organizing. She liked the silence in the house, the way the sunlight fell through the windows, and the soft sound of her own footsteps. In these moments, she sometimes thought about the piano that was tucked away in the corner of the living room. It was old, but it still worked perfectly. Most of the time, she didn't touch it, because she didn't want anyone to notice. But today, something was different. She felt a sudden urge to play, just a few notes, to let the music flow through her. She walked to the piano, lifted the cover, and pressed a key. The sound filled the room, soft and clear. She closed her eyes and let her fingers move across the keys. She played a simple melody at first, just to feel the music again. Then she remembered more complex songs she had learned years ago, pieces that required skill and emotion. Her hands moved effortlessly, and the music filled the house in a way that it had never done before. She didn't care about anyone watching. For a few moments, the house became her world, and the piano became her voice. Outside, the city was busy, and the millionaire was in a rush, thinking about work, deals, and meetings. He didn't know that inside his house, something extraordinary was happening. The housekeeper played with passion, every note carrying a story of dreams, struggles, and hope. She didn't notice the time passing or the world outside. The music connected her to a part of herself that she had almost forgotten. It reminded her that she was more than a housekeeper. She was a musician, a dreamer, someone who could touch hearts with her talent. As she played, the sounds of the piano seemed to float through the house. The living room, the hallways, and even the small corners seemed to listen. She played with her eyes closed, imagining the music reaching people who could understand its depth. The melody was gentle but powerful, soft but full of life. Every note was a part of her story, a story that had been hidden for too long. Somewhere in the mansion, the millionaire paused for a moment, feeling something he couldn't explain. It was a sound that reached him even though he was far away in his study. It was different from the usual silence of the house or the background noises he ignored every day. Curious, he put down his work and followed the sound. Step by step, he moved through the halls, each note guiding him closer. He had never heard music like this before in his life. It was not just skill. It was emotion, passion and beauty all at once. He stopped at the doorway and looked inside. There she was, the housekeeper, playing the piano as if she were born to do it. Her fingers moved with grace, her eyes closed, and her face reflected the emotion of every note. The millionaire watched silently, amazed. He had seen many talented people in his life, but nothing like this. It was not just the music. It was the way she played, the way the piano became an extension of her soul. He couldn't believe that someone who had been in his house for years, someone he barely noticed, could possess such extraordinary talent. The housekeeper continued playing, unaware of the millionaire standing at the door. She played with every bit of her heart, letting the music flow freely. It was a private moment, but it was powerful enough to stop time for anyone who listened. The millionaire felt a mix of emotions: surprise, admiration, and something he could not name. He realized that he had been blind to the people around him, to the hidden stories and talents that existed quietly, unnoticed. This moment made him see the world differently, even if just for a few minutes. When the song ended, the housekeeper slowly opened her eyes. She saw the millionaire standing there, and for a moment, she froze. She didn't know what to say, and he didn't move. There was silence, heavy and full of wonder. Finally, the millionaire spoke, his voice soft but filled with astonishment. He complimented her, telling her that he had never heard anything so beautiful. The housekeeper blushed and smiled shyly. She wasn't used to such attention, but it felt genuine, not forced or fake. From that day on, the mansion was no longer just a house. It became a place where dreams could be remembered, where hidden talents could be celebrated. The millionaire started noticing the little things, the people who had been in the background all this time. And the housekeeper realized that her music could not stay hidden forever. She had a gift, and now someone had seen it and appreciated it for the first time in years. It was the beginning of something new, a story that would change both their lives in ways they could never imagine. The sound of the piano still lingered in the millionaire's mind hours after the housekeeper had finished playing. He could not get the melody out of his head. It was as if every note had left a mark, a memory he could not ignore. For the first time in years, he found himself thinking about something other than work, contracts, and profits. The music had awakened something inside him that he did not even know existed. He walked through the halls of his mansion, touching the polished surfaces and noticing details he had always ignored. The sunlight through the windows looked different, warmer, and more alive. The house felt different too, as if the music had left a trace that could not be erased. He thought about the housekeeper, who had always been there but invisible, moving quietly through the rooms. Now he realized that she had a life beyond cleaning and serving, a world he had never bothered to see. The housekeeper herself felt a mixture of relief and nervousness. She had never intended for anyone to hear her play. Music had always been her secret, a way to escape and remember her dreams. Now, she could feel the eyes of the millionaire on her, and she worried that the moment had changed something between them. She kept busy with her daily work, cleaning and arranging things as usual, but the thought of being noticed for her talent stayed with her. It was strange to feel seen, and at the same time she did not know how to handle it. The next day, the millionaire found himself unable to focus on his usual tasks. Meetings and emails felt less important compared to the memory of the housekeeper at the piano. He realized he wanted to know more about her, not just as a housekeeper but as a person. He began asking small questions when they crossed paths. He asked about her day, commented on her work, and even mentioned the piano casually. The housekeeper answered politely, but there was a subtle tension between them, a mix of shyness and curiosity. She did not want to seem arrogant, yet she could feel a sense of recognition she had never experienced before. Over the next few days, the millionaire started noticing more small things. He saw the way she smiled at the sunlight through the windows, the care she took in arranging flowers, and the quiet grace in the way she moved through the rooms. Every detail told a story he had never bothered to see. He realized that life was more than money and work, and people were more than their roles or titles. There was beauty hidden in ordinary moments, and talent hidden in ordinary people. One evening, curiosity got the better of him. He went to the living room quietly, hoping to hear the piano again. At first, the room was silent, but then he heard the soft touch of the keys. The housekeeper had returned to the piano, sitting there with her fingers hovering above the keys. She began to play a simple, slow melody, and as the notes filled the air, the millionaire felt a wave of emotion. He did not move, did not speak, just listened. Each note seemed to tell a story of struggles, dreams, and resilience. He realized that she was not just playing notes. She was speaking through the music. Her fingers moved with skill and feeling, and her eyes closed as if she were in another world. The melody was different from the previous day, more personal, more emotional. It carried the weight of years spent dreaming and waiting. He watched in silence, feeling an unexpected connection. It was as if the music bridged a gap between them, showing him a side of her that words could not describe. After the song ended, she opened her eyes and noticed him standing quietly by the door. She froze, unsure of what to say. He smiled, not in a commanding or critical way, but with genuine admiration. He told her that he had never heard anything like it before, that the music had moved him in a way he could not explain. She blushed, embarrassed but proud. For the first time, someone had acknowledged her talent without judgment or expectation. The millionaire began to ask more questions about her life. He learned about the sacrifices she had made, the dreams she had set aside, and the talent that had never been fully recognized. She spoke cautiously, not wanting to seem boastful, but there was a sense of relief in sharing her story. The millionaire listened with genuine interest, realizing that he had underestimated the depth and complexity of the people around him. He began to see her as more than a housekeeper. He saw her as an individual with a rich inner life, a person with a gift that deserved recognition. In the following days, he made small gestures to show his appreciation. He encouraged her to play more often, suggesting that the music should not remain hidden. He brought her sheet music, gave her time to practice, and even invited friends over quietly so she could play for an audience. At first, she was hesitant, unsure of how to react to attention. But gradually, she started to enjoy it. Each note she played became a little louder, more confident, and filled with more emotion. The mansion slowly transformed into a place where music could live openly. The walls seemed to echo with the piano, and even the air felt lighter. The millionaire noticed a change in himself too. He was calmer, more patient, and more appreciative of simple moments. He had learned to pause, to listen, and to see the people around him with new eyes. The housekeeper had reminded him of a truth he had forgotten. Talent and beauty can exist anywhere, even in the quietest corners of life. Their bond grew stronger, not as employer and employee, but as two people who had shared a powerful experience. He respected her talent, and she respected his willingness to notice and appreciate it. Together, they created a new rhythm in the mansion, one that combined work, life, and the magic of music. The housekeeper felt her confidence returning, and the millionaire felt a sense of wonder that he had not felt in years. One afternoon, the housekeeper played a particularly difficult piece, her fingers flying over the keys with precision and grace. The millionaire watched, astonished, as she performed with the skill of a professional musician. He realized that she had hidden this talent for years, waiting for someone to recognize it. He felt honored to be the first to truly see it. The music told a story that words could not, and he understood that he had been given a rare gift, the chance to witness extraordinary talent in an ordinary person. The days turned into weeks, and the piano continued to fill the house with music. The millionaire made arrangements for her to meet a few people who could help her advance her musical skills further, quietly supporting her without making it feel like charity. The housekeeper began to dream again, imagining a life where her talent could reach more people. She practiced every day, her confidence growing with each performance. The experience changed both of their lives in ways they could not have anticipated. The millionaire learned to see the value in people beyond their roles and to appreciate the hidden stories that everyone carries. The housekeeper learned that her talent was worth sharing and that recognition could come in unexpected ways. They had discovered something rare, a moment of true human connection through the power of music. The mansion, once just a house of wealth and work, had become a place of dreams, respect, and astonishment. The music had opened doors to a future neither of them had imagined, and it all began with a single melody that could not be ignored. The millionaire could not stop thinking about the housekeeper and her music. Every time he walked past the piano, he felt a pull to hear her play again. He realized that her talent was more than just skill. It carried emotions, memories, and dreams she had kept hidden for years. He wanted to know more about her, about the life she had lived before she came to his mansion. He wondered what had led her to put aside something so precious. One afternoon, he decided to ask her about her past. He approached her quietly while she was dusting the living room. He spoke gently, not wanting to startle her, and asked if she had always played the piano. She paused, her hands on the cloth, and looked up at him with a mix of surprise and hesitation. She had never been asked about her life before. Most people had only seen her as a housekeeper, someone who did her job and stayed in the background. Slowly, she began to speak. She told him about her childhood, about how she had learned to play the piano when she was very young. She described the hours she had spent practicing, the joy she felt when she mastered a difficult piece, and the dreams she had of performing on big stages. But life had been difficult. Her family had struggled with money, and she had been forced to work from a young age. She had to give up her dreams to help support them. The piano had become a secret world, a place where she could escape and remember who she truly was. The millionaire listened closely, realizing that he had underestimated the lives of people around him. He had been so focused on his work and success that he had never considered the stories hidden behind quiet faces. He felt a growing respect for the housekeeper, not just for her talent, but for her resilience and determination. She had carried her dreams in silence for years, never complaining, never asking for recognition. As she spoke, he noticed a change in her demeanor. Her eyes shone with a mix of sadness and pride. She had carried these memories alone for so long, and now she was sharing them with someone who truly listened. It was a rare moment of connection, a human exchange that went beyond words. The millionaire realized that talent and dreams could be hidden in the most unexpected places, waiting for someone to notice. He asked her if she had ever performed for anyone else. She shook her head, explaining that she had been too shy and had never had the opportunity. She had played in private for herself and occasionally for close friends, but never in a public setting. Her music had been her refuge, a personal world that few had ever entered. The millionaire understood that this made her talent even more remarkable. She had honed her skills without recognition, driven only by passion and love for the music. Over the next few days, he found ways to encourage her. He suggested small opportunities for her to play, first just for him, and then for a few trusted friends. At first, she was hesitant, unsure if she was ready to share her music with others. But his gentle encouragement and genuine admiration gave her the courage to try. She began practicing more, her fingers moving confidently across the keys, her music growing in richness and emotion. The millionaire watched her carefully, noticing how her eyes lit up when she played, how her body seemed to relax, and how the music seemed to carry a part of her soul. He realized that this was more than entertainment. It was a glimpse into her inner world. Each note told a story of struggle, hope, and resilience. He felt privileged to witness it, understanding that such moments were rare and valuable. One evening, he asked her to play a particular piece he had heard her practice before. She hesitated, then smiled softly and began. The melody filled the room, moving with grace and emotion. He listened quietly, feeling every note, every pause, every subtle change in rhythm. It was as if the music spoke directly to him, telling a story he had never known, a story of dedication, sacrifice, and dreams that refused to die. After she finished, he thanked her sincerely, telling her that her music had touched him deeply. She blushed, feeling a warmth she had not experienced before. For years, she had played in private, unsure if anyone would ever understand the depth of her talent. Now, someone had not only heard her but truly appreciated her skill and emotion. It was a moment of validation, a reminder that her dreams were real and valuable. The millionaire began to think about how he could support her further. He realized that her talent deserved more than private performances. She had the potential to touch many lives with her music. He discussed ways to help her, suggesting small concerts or recordings, always careful to respect her comfort and wishes. The housekeeper considered these ideas, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She had lived a life of quiet dedication, and the thought of sharing her talent widely was both thrilling and daunting. Over time, the housekeeper became more confident. She practiced daily, exploring new pieces and refining her skills. The millionaire noticed the change in her posture, her expressions, and the joy that radiated when she played. The mansion, once just a place of work and routine, became alive with music. Each day brought new melodies, new emotions, and a growing sense of purpose for the housekeeper. Their relationship also evolved. It was built on mutual respect and admiration, not just for her talent, but for her character. The millionaire began to see the value in the people around him, realizing that every person had a story worth listening to. The housekeeper learned that her gifts were important and that sharing them could bring joy and inspiration to others. Together, they created a bond that went beyond roles and titles, a human connection rooted in understanding and appreciation. One afternoon, the housekeeper played a particularly difficult piece that she had been practicing for weeks. Her fingers moved swiftly and precisely, and the music flowed effortlessly. The millionaire watched, astonished, as she performed with the skill and emotion of a seasoned musician. He realized that she had spent years perfecting her craft in silence, driven by passion alone. Her dedication and talent were extraordinary, and he felt honored to witness it. The housekeeper, in turn, began to dream again. She imagined opportunities to perform for larger audiences, to share her music with people who would appreciate it. The millionaire supported her quietly, helping her make connections and find chances to showcase her talent. Each step was a new experience, filled with both challenges and excitement. She felt a sense of purpose and fulfillment that had been missing from her life for so long. Through these experiences, both of them grew. The millionaire learned to appreciate the hidden depths of the people around him, realizing that wealth and success were not the only measures of life. The housekeeper rediscovered her confidence and passion, understanding that her talent was valuable and worth sharing. The mansion became a place of creativity, respect, and inspiration, where music and human connection brought joy and meaning to every day. By spending time together, sharing music and stories, they discovered the power of recognizing hidden talent. The housekeeper's music became a symbol of resilience and hope, showing that dreams could survive even in the hardest circumstances. The millionaire learned that noticing and supporting those around him could create extraordinary experiences and connections. The quiet mansion, once filled with routine, now echoed with melodies, laughter, and the promise of new beginnings. The housekeeper continued to practice, each day bringing more confidence and expression. The millionaire remained an attentive audience, a supporter, and a friend. They shared moments of silence, music, and conversation that deepened their understanding of each other. In those moments, the importance of recognition, encouragement, and human connection became clear. Extraordinary talent could be found in unexpected places, and when it was nurtured, it could transform lives. Their story was one of discovery, not just of talent but of character and humanity. The millionaire realized that success was more meaningful when it included seeing and supporting others. The housekeeper realized that her dreams were never too far away, that sharing her music could bring joy to many. Together, they created a space where dreams and talent were recognized, celebrated, and allowed to flourish. And it all began with a single melody, a piano, and the courage to notice what had been hidden for so long. The housekeeper had never thought that anyone would truly appreciate her music. For years, she had played in silence, hidden from the world. Now, with the millionaire listening and encouraging her, she felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She had grown confident in her abilities, but the thought of sharing her talent more openly still made her heart race. She had kept her music private for so long that performing for someone other than herself felt like stepping into a new world. The millionaire noticed this hesitation and chose to be patient. He never pressured her, He only offered support and encouragement. One afternoon, he suggested she play for a small group of friends who would come to the mansion. She was hesitant, unsure if she was ready, but he simply said, "Only if you feel comfortable. No one is expecting anything." His calm, genuine tone gave her the courage to consider it. She began preparing a few pieces, practicing every day in the quiet of the living room. Her fingers moved over the keys with increasing confidence, and each practice session left her feeling more alive. The mansion, once silent and orderly, now echoed with melodies that carried emotion, memory, and hope. Even the walls seemed to listen, as if they understood the importance of the music that filled the space. The day of the small gathering arrived. The housekeeper was nervous, unsure how to perform for an audience. She had never done anything like this before. The millionaire noticed her unease and offered reassuring words. "Just play as you always do," he said. "The music will speak for itself." She nodded, taking a deep breath, and sat at the piano. Her hands hovered above the keys for a moment. Then she began to play. The music filled the room, soft at first, then gradually gaining strength and confidence. The small audience listened in awe. Each note told a story. Each pause carried emotion. They could feel the dedication, the passion, and the life experiences that shaped every melody. The housekeeper closed her eyes, letting the music flow naturally, as if the room itself were a part of her world. The millionaire watched quietly, amazed at the transformation. He had seen her play before, but now she was performing not just for him, but for others who could appreciate her talent. He realized how rare this moment was, how extraordinary it was to witness someone finally embracing their true gift. He felt proud, not for himself, but for the housekeeper who had finally stepped into the light. After the performance, the audience applauded quietly, not wanting to disturb the delicate atmosphere she had created. The housekeeper smiled shyly, feeling a warmth she had never experienced before. For years, her music had been a secret, a private escape. Now it was being shared and appreciated, and the feeling was overwhelming in the best way. She had discovered a new sense of purpose, realizing that her talent could touch others in ways she had never imagined. The millionaire approached her afterward, praising her performance with sincerity. He told her that her music had moved everyone in the room, that they had been touched by the emotion and skill in her playing. The housekeeper blushed, feeling a mixture of pride and disbelief. She had never imagined that her music could have such an impact. For the first time, she felt recognized not just as a housekeeper, but as an artist. In the days that followed, the housekeeper continued to practice and play. She began to experiment with new pieces, exploring different styles and techniques. The mansion became a place of creativity and expression, where music flowed freely and inspiration was alive in every corner. The millionaire supported her quietly, helping her access sheet music, suggesting new compositions, and even arranging private lessons with a respected musician. He was careful to ensure that she felt in control, that the journey was hers, not a demand from him. As she gained confidence, the housekeeper began to think about the future. She had spent so many years suppressing her dreams, but now she could imagine possibilities that had once seemed impossible. She began to consider small performances outside the mansion, perhaps at local events or community gatherings. The idea was both exciting and intimidating, but the encouragement she received gave her strength. She realized that sharing her talent could bring joy to many people, not just herself. The millionaire noticed the change in her demeanor. She was more confident, more expressive, and more alive than he had ever seen. He understood that talent alone was not enough. Encouragement, recognition, and opportunity were just as important. He had given her the space and support she needed to grow, but the courage and skill had always been hers. His role was simply to notice, to provide encouragement, and to believe in her potential. One afternoon, as she played a particularly intricate piece, the millionaire realized how much he had learned from her. He had been so focused on work and success that he had overlooked the richness of human talent around him. Watching her, he saw the importance of pausing, observing, and appreciating the people who often went unnoticed. The experience had changed him, making him more thoughtful, patient, and aware of the world beyond numbers and contracts. The housekeeper's growing confidence also inspired others in the mansion. Staff members who had worked quietly alongside her began to notice the beauty in their own skills and contributions. They saw that talent could exist in unexpected places, that recognition and support could bring out the best in people. The mansion, once a place of routine and order, had become a space where creativity, expression, and human connection thrived. Over time, the housekeeper began to perform more frequently. She played for small audiences, participated in local events, and even recorded a few pieces for friends and acquaintances. Each performance brought new experiences, new challenges, and new joys. She discovered that her music had the power to move people, to evoke emotion, and to create connections that went beyond words. She felt fulfilled in a way she had never known, understanding that her talent was not just a personal escape, but a gift to share with others. The millionaire continued to support her quietly, never taking credit or interfering with her choices. He watched as she grew, as she embraced her gift, and as her confidence blossomed. He felt proud, not in a boastful way, but in the satisfaction of seeing someone he had noticed and encouraged flourish. The mansion had become more than a home. It was a place of growth, creativity, and inspiration. As the housekeeper's performances gained attention, more opportunities began to open up. Local musicians and teachers offered guidance, and small audiences became larger, each person touched by the emotion and skill in her music. She remained humble, always remembering the years she had spent in silence, and always appreciating the support that had helped her step into the light. Through all this, the bond between the millionaire and the housekeeper deepened. It was built on respect, trust, and a shared understanding of the power of recognizing talent. He had seen her for who she truly was, and she had grown to trust his encouragement and judgment. Together, they had created an environment where dreams could flourish, where talent could be nurtured, and where human connection could be felt deeply. The housekeeper's journey was far from over, but she had taken significant steps toward reclaiming her dreams. Each performance, each note, each melody was a testament to her resilience and passion. The millionaire continued to learn from her, understanding that true success was not measured solely by wealth or power, but by the ability to recognize, support, and celebrate the gifts of those around us. In this way, the mansion became a symbol of possibility. It showed that extraordinary talent could be found in the most unexpected places, that encouragement and opportunity could transform lives, and that human connection could create moments of wonder and inspiration. The housekeeper played on, each note a reminder of the journey she had taken, the dreams she had pursued, and the life she had begun to embrace. And the millionaire, quietly watching, knew that he had witnessed something truly remarkable, a story of talent, courage, and the beauty of noticing the extraordinary in the ordinary. The housekeeper had come a long way from the quiet, hidden world she had lived in for years. Each day, her confidence grew, and her music became richer, deeper, and more expressive. She had discovered that her talent was not something to hide but a gift to share. With the millionaire's quiet support, she had begun performing for small audiences, gaining recognition, and realizing that she could have a life filled with music beyond the mansion's walls. One morning, the millionaire suggested something new. He proposed she play at a local charity event, where the music could reach a wider audience. The housekeeper felt a mix of excitement and fear. Performing in front of strangers was very different from playing for the millionaire or a few friends. She worried about mistakes, about whether people would appreciate her music, and about stepping into a world she had avoided for so long. But the millionaire's calm encouragement helped ease her nerves. He reminded her that she had talent, preparation, and passion. All she needed to do was play. The day of the charity event arrived. The housekeeper prepared herself, practicing the pieces she had chosen for weeks. Her hands moved confidently over the keys as she rehearsed, each note carrying the emotion and story she wanted to share. She felt a nervous excitement she had never known before. For years, she had played in private, but now she was about to let the world hear her music. She realized that this was not just a performance. It was a declaration of who she truly was. As she arrived at the event, she saw people gathering in the hall, chatting and waiting for the performances to begin. She felt her heart race, but the millionaire's reassuring presence gave her a sense of calm. He had always been patient, never rushing her, always believing in her abilities. With his quiet support, she walked to the piano and sat down, taking a deep breath before beginning. The moment her fingers touched the keys, the music filled the room. The audience was captivated from the first note. Her fingers moved with precision, her touch gentle yet commanding, and the melodies carried the weight of her experiences. People could feel the dedication, the passion, and the years of quiet practice in every note. Her music told a story that words could not express. A story of dreams held close, sacrifices made, and talent finally unleashed. As she played, the housekeeper closed her eyes, letting the music guide her. She was no longer afraid of judgment or mistakes. Every note she played was a piece of her heart, and the audience felt it. The room became silent except for the piano, as if the world itself had paused to listen. When the final note lingered in the air, the audience erupted into applause. The housekeeper felt a rush of emotion, a mixture of pride, relief, and joy. For the first time, she had shared her gift with people who truly appreciated it. The millionaire approached her afterward, beaming with pride. He congratulated her on a performance that had moved everyone present. She smiled shyly, realizing how far she had come from the quiet days in the mansion when she played alone for herself. This moment was proof that her talent had power, that her dedication and passion could reach people in ways she had never imagined. Over the following weeks, more opportunities began to appear. A local music teacher offered guidance, suggesting pieces to challenge her and improve her technique. Friends of the millionaire, impressed by her performance, invited her to private gatherings where she could play for select audiences. Each opportunity was a step into a larger world, and she embraced them with a mixture of excitement and careful thought. She had learned to trust her abilities and to believe that her music had value beyond the walls of her private world. The housekeeper's growth was not just in her music, but in her confidence and outlook on life. She began to see possibilities she had never considered. She thought about performing in larger venues, maybe even recording her music one day. She realized that her dreams were not too big or unattainable. They were waiting for her to reach for them. The mansion, once her only stage, had become a launching point for a life full of possibilities. The millionaire continued to support her in subtle ways. He arranged for private lessons with skilled musicians, introduced her to people in the music community, and provided encouragement whenever she needed it. He never pressured her to perform or pushed her beyond her comfort zone. Instead, he offered guidance and believed in her abilities, allowing her to grow at her own pace. His quiet support was instrumental in her journey, giving her the courage to step into a world that had once seemed distant and unreachable. One afternoon, after a successful performance at a small local event, the housekeeper reflected on her journey. She thought about the years she had spent hiding her talent, the sacrifices she had made, and the courage it had taken to step into the light. She realized that her music was more than a hobby or a private escape. It was a gift that could inspire, touch hearts, and create connections. For the first time, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that she was living her dream and sharing it with the world. As her reputation grew, the mansion continued to be a place of practice and growth. The housekeeper spent hours at the piano, exploring new compositions, perfecting old ones, and experimenting with different styles. Each practice session was a journey, a way to connect with her emotions and express herself. The millionaire observed, always respectful, always encouraging, and always amazed by her dedication and skill. Together, they had created an environment where talent could thrive and dreams could grow. Her performances began to inspire others. Friends and acquaintances marveled at her skill and emotion, and local musicians recognized the depth of her talent. She became a symbol of perseverance and dedication, showing that even hidden talent, when nurtured and recognized, could flourish. People who had never believed in themselves or had given up on their dreams began to see that it was never too late to pursue passion and excellence. The housekeeper's story was not just about music but about courage, resilience, and the power of recognition. She had spent years in the shadows, and now she was stepping into the light. Every note she played carried a message of hope, showing that talent and dreams could survive even the hardest circumstances. The Millionaire's belief in her had been the catalyst, but the drive, dedication, and heart had always been hers. She had reclaimed her life, her talent, and her future. Over time, she began to dream even bigger. She imagined larger audiences, collaborations with other musicians, and perhaps even recording her music professionally. Each idea was met with careful planning and practice, ensuring that she was ready to take the next step. The mansion remained her sanctuary, a place where she could prepare, grow, and connect with her music and her supporters. The Millionaire, having witnessed her transformation, reflected on what he had learned. He realized that wealth and power were not the only measures of life's value. True richness came from recognizing talent, encouraging growth, and supporting others in realizing their potential. He had seen someone blossom from a quiet, hidden world into a confident, expressive artist, and he understood the profound impact that support and belief could have on a person's life. Through her journey, the housekeeper had not only transformed her own life, but had touched the lives of everyone who heard her music. She had become an inspiration, showing that extraordinary talent could be found in the most unexpected places. The mansion, once a place of routine and silence, had become a space filled with creativity, hope, and music that could move people's hearts. Each day, the housekeeper continued to grow, learning, practicing, and performing. The Millionaire remained a constant, silent supporter, always respectful, always encouraging, and always amazed. Together, they had created a story of discovery, resilience, and the beauty of human connection. Her music had unlocked a world of opportunities, and her talent, once hidden, was now a source of inspiration and wonder for everyone around her. The journey was far from over, but the housekeeper had taken significant steps toward living her dream. Each performance, each note, and each melody was a testament to her determination, passion, and courage. The Millionaire had witnessed something extraordinary, not just in her talent, but in her ability to rise from a quiet, hidden life into one filled with music, recognition, and hope. And the mansion, once a place of work and routine, had become a sanctuary of talent, growth, and human connection, a place where dreams could finally take flight. The housekeeper had grown more confident and expressive over the past months, and her music had begun to touch the hearts of many. Word of her talent had spread quietly at first, through friends, small events, and private gatherings. Each performance added to her growing reputation, and she began to see the possibilities that had once seemed unreachable. She realized that her dream of sharing her music with the world was becoming a reality. One morning, the Millionaire suggested something bold. He had connections with influential people in the music world and wanted to help her take the next step. He mentioned the idea of performing at a well-known local concert hall, where her talent could be recognized by a larger audience. The housekeeper felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The thought of playing in such a public space was both thrilling and intimidating. She worried about mistakes, about how people would respond, and about leaving the safety of the mansion and small gatherings. But the Millionaire's calm and encouraging presence reminded her that she had the skill, the preparation, and the passion to succeed. The weeks leading up to the concert were filled with practice, planning, and quiet determination. The housekeeper spent hours at the piano each day, refining her pieces, exploring new melodies, and perfecting her technique. She poured her heart into every note, and her confidence grew with each practice session. The mansion was filled with music, and even the air seemed alive with anticipation. The Millionaire watched from nearby, offering guidance when asked, providing encouragement, and quietly supporting her every step. Finally, the day of the concert arrived. The housekeeper arrived at the concert hall, a place she had never imagined performing in. The large stage, the rows of seats, and the crowd waiting to hear her music made her heart race. She felt nervous, but she reminded herself of the months of practice, the journey she had undertaken, and the encouragement she had received. She knew she was ready. As she stepped onto the stage, the lights shining down, she took a deep breath and sat at the piano. The audience fell silent, their attention entirely on her. She placed her fingers on the keys and began to play. The music flowed naturally, each note expressing emotion, experience, and passion. The audience was captivated from the first chord. They could feel the depth of her talent, the story behind each melody, and the emotion she poured into the performance. She played a mix of familiar pieces and new compositions, each one more expressive than the last. Her fingers moved with precision and grace, her body swaying slightly with the rhythm of the music. The room seemed to hold its breath, hanging on each note, each pause, each subtle change in tempo. The housekeeper closed her eyes, fully immersed in the music, forgetting the size of the audience or the grandeur of the hall. She was living in the music, and the audience felt it deeply. As the final note lingered in the air, the audience erupted into applause. The sound was overwhelming, a wave of appreciation and admiration that filled the hall. The housekeeper felt tears in her eyes, a mixture of joy, relief, and pride. For years, she had played in silence, hidden from the world, and now she had touched the hearts of many. It was a moment of validation, recognition, and accomplishment. She realized that her music had the power to move people, to inspire, and to connect them to emotions that words could not convey. Backstage, the millionaire waited for her, beaming with pride. He congratulated her sincerely, telling her that she had amazed everyone. She smiled, feeling a warmth and satisfaction that she had never experienced before. The journey from a quiet, hidden life in the mansion to performing on a grand stage had been long and challenging, but it had also been transformative. She had discovered not only her talent but also her courage, determination, and the joy of sharing her gift with others. In the days following the concert, opportunities continued to grow. Local musicians, teachers, and event organizers reached out to her, recognizing the extraordinary talent she possessed. She began to perform more frequently, each time refining her skills and reaching new audiences. The mansion remained her sanctuary, a place for practice and preparation, but her world had expanded far beyond its walls. She had stepped into a life filled with music, recognition, and possibility. The millionaire continued to support her quietly, offering guidance, encouragement, and connections without ever overshadowing her achievements. He watched as she grew into a confident, expressive musician, proud not only of her talent but of the person she had become. Their relationship, built on mutual respect and understanding, had strengthened through the shared journey. He had learned to appreciate the hidden depths of the people around him, and she had learned the power of encouragement, opportunity, and belief in oneself. The housekeeper's story inspired many. People who had never believed in their own dreams or had given up on their passions saw in her journey a message of hope and perseverance. She became a symbol of what could be achieved with talent, dedication, and support. Her music carried emotion, story, and life experience, reaching hearts and minds in ways that left a lasting impact. One evening, after a particularly moving performance at a community event, the housekeeper reflected on her journey. She thought about the years she had spent hiding her talent, the obstacles she had overcome, and the encouragement she had received. She realized that her music had transformed not only her life but also the lives of those who listened. The power of recognizing hidden talent and providing support had created a ripple effect, touching people far beyond what she had imagined. The mansion had changed too. Once a place of routine and silence, it now echoed with creativity, music, and inspiration. Each day, the housekeeper practiced, explored new compositions, and shared her music with those around her. The millionaire watched with admiration, knowing that he had been part of something extraordinary. He had witnessed a hidden talent bloom, a dream come alive, and a life transformed. Over time, her performances reached wider audiences. Invitations to play at local events, charity functions, and private gatherings became more frequent. She remained humble, always remembering the years of quiet practice, the challenges she had faced, and the support that had allowed her to step into the light. Each performance was a testament to her resilience, passion, and the power of human connection. The housekeeper's journey was a story of discovery, courage, and inspiration. She had transformed from a quiet, hidden figure into a celebrated musician, sharing her gift with the world. The millionaire had learned the importance of noticing talent, supporting growth, and creating opportunities. Together, they had created a narrative of hope, perseverance, and the beauty of recognizing the extraordinary in the ordinary. The mansion continued to be a place of practice and growth, but the housekeeper's life had expanded far beyond its walls. Each day brought new opportunities, new audiences, and new experiences. Her music continued to touch hearts, inspire dreams, and create connections that transcended words. She had reclaimed her life, her talent, and her future, proving that hidden potential, when recognized and nurtured, could lead to astonishing outcomes. In the end, the housekeeper's story was not just about music. It was about courage, resilience, and the transformative power of support and recognition. The millionaire had witnessed a remarkable journey, one that began with a single melody in the quiet of a mansion and culminated in performances that amazed and inspired many. Her music had changed lives, including her own, and she had discovered the extraordinary possibilities that could arise when talent was noticed, nurtured, and shared with the world. It was a story that left everyone astonished, a true testament to the power of dreams, determination, and human connection.